basically, I've got half an hour for this talk, by the way, and I've got 15 minutes to give you a demo, and I'll actually be doing a mini reading on somebody that volunteered through Carl. So it's to demonstrate it, because it's all very well hearing it, but like the last, it's good to have a demo, so that's what we're going. Quickly, my background: I'm an environmental scientist. Environmental geochemistry and health is what I worked in for years, and working a lot on contaminated land and looking at the effects on people's health on contaminants in their environment. And I did that in Ireland, England and New Zealand. A few years ago, anyone heard of the more recent recession? Of course we have. Things changed, and I'm really pleased they did, because I no longer did that work, but I've gone into what I do now, and I'm very appreciative of that, because I've gone into my spiritual side, and I've left my worldly path. So basically, you'll actually understand that the more I talk about it. So why would you have a soul path reading? What is it? A soul path reading is a reading of your birth name, okay? Because the name you were given at birth is very important, and that might be why you actually like it, because you're having quite a nice life. Or maybe there are times you don't like your name. Well, so whatever it is, your birth name is very important. We'll go into more detail. But that is the basis of it. And there are certain sound vibrations and energies in your birth name. And these, I could use the law of attraction, but basically, through you hearing these energies in your life will be manifest. And there will be certain times of good and bad, but they're all part of the lesson that your soul chose for you to experience in this incarnation. Okay. We often ask, what is our life purpose? In our lives, how many of us ask at some point, many points, many times, where are we going? What am I doing? Where do I go now? I need some sense of direction. I mean, we can all agree on that. Where's my life taking me? And we can have that every time, all throughout our lives, right? It's not just one particular time. And what is my purpose? And when you have a soul path reading, it's like having the map unfurled in front of you. And not only on that is there a map, but it's actually a route. And it's the route that your life was actually predetermined, predestined to follow. And again, it's coded in your birth name. So what is it? It's a channel system of soul and life purpose analysis. Okay. Readings for people, individuals, and I'll talk about other applications, but for now I'm talking about the individual to start off, are actually based upon the sound vibration of your birth name, as I said. Okay. And it's what is on your birth certificate. Okay. And basically we describe as practitioners of this system what experiences you would have had and are likely to have in your life. Okay. It will confirm your karma, which is the leftover from previous lives of issues that need resolving. Or if you don't want to follow that philosophy, you can see it as a lesson in this life that you need to learn from. Okay. A challenge, perhaps. And there are also basically talents that you'll be given to help you overcome these challenges and to get into that karma and to stop those patterns, because associated with them are limiting beliefs, and we want to get over these limiting beliefs. And that's where I personally use EFT and matrix reimprinting and hypnosis to help people on their way. So we do reveal limiting beliefs associated with these karmic patterns. I also help people be aware of the talents they've got to help them overcome these. And then there are certain goals that are revealed, and these goals are like a gift. It's a gift from your soul, which is pure love energy. It's a gift that's got multiple wrapping layers, okay? So it's not very obvious what it is, but it's there for you to work on and unroll and unwrap and get to, okay? Using your talents, you'll achieve these goals. That's our lives there. Right. Okay, we're born, and then we move to the next incarnation. There are 3 possibilities. This is most people's lives. You see how there's sort of like direct routes. It takes a turn, you follow a route, and then you carry on. Maybe there's a bit of a change, a bit of a bump, and you carry on. Why? We're born, we learn to walk, we learn to talk, we learn to feed, we educate. It's very, very determined, it's very straight, it's predictable. That's what we all do. Then maybe we get a career and we're off on another tangent, we're off. And then maybe we get married, so on. So it's all very regulated. However, the life that our path is this one, the black line. It's nice and curved and sinewy, and that's the life that was predetermined for you. That's the path where we aim to get to. So a lot of us practitioners of this system call ourselves, as do others, light workers as well, because we are shedding light on people's path through this system. And if we can do that, we reveal where they should be. And I keep doing this because that's what we want to do. We want to bring you all back onto your path and not to deviate from here. The green one is where you may actually be living your life as well. For some people who are very much in touch with themselves, and people who are doing self-development work will probably experience the green line. And when you cross over the black, which is the soul path, it's a moment when you feel quite good about yourself. Why? Because you're where you're supposed to be. Okay? And as we get older with more self-development work, notice how they concur more. They cross over because we know we're getting to a stage. Even if we weren't aware of this, with hindsight, we can look back and say, actually, as I got older, I got wiser, or whatever, I did some more work, I had therapy, whatever it was, you felt better about yourself, and this is why, you're actually aligning with your true soul purpose. Why the birth name? The birth name is important because before you're born, before this incarnation, your soul, being energetic, an energetic being, got the option, met the committee way above. Made decisions. What would you like for this incarnation? What challenges would you like? What talent would you like to help overcome that? And what goal would you like to aim for? That's exactly what happens. And so that recipe, that DNA, that blueprint was encoded in the name that you were given. Because each letter has a certain energetic vibration, and that's how the code is. So I think after today, I'm hoping all of you, if not most of you, will look at your name differently and realize it really is for you. Mm-hmm. I've often been asked the question, what if two people have the same name? Are they going to have exactly the same life? No, they won't, but they'll have the same potential, okay? Because they've got the same bundle of energies, but we all agree there's different socioeconomic reasons, cultural backgrounds, every other influence possible in the human experience to shape you, okay?
I've searched my name on the internet, and the only person that comes up with Carl Dawson runs a Thai restaurant. I spent a lot of time in Thailand. It's my favourite cuisine.
That's only two? Yeah, okay. Have you been? Not yet. Okay. Okay. From nothing, everything's created. Okay, that is the basis for a lot of creationist tales throughout lots of civilizations. In the beginning, there was nothing. That's why we talk about the sound. So the vibration, the sound energy is very important. If you go to the Christian tradition, God spoke, let there be, and so on, and things were created. Okay, we can manifest through sound. If I say something horrible to somebody, they'll have a physical reaction. They'll feel it somewhere. There could be, maybe I'll get punched. If I say something nice, there'll be a physical reaction. So sound, just a simple, silly little example, but sound's very important. Just an example, he's speaking the universe into existence from nothing. So that's why sound is the important part here. The system has its roots in ancient Judaic texts. It's known as soul contract, and my version is soul path. It's the same outputs, we just have some difference in backgrounds. It has commonalities where I align to with Hindu Vedic astrology. Okay, and although the person who channeled the bulk of the system was Frank Alper, this gentleman here in the United States in the 1980s, he channeled what he called the numerology of Moses. Now this is where numerology comes into it. He applied a numerology system to the letters of your name, because they have each letter of the alphabet has a certain number, which is an energetic vibration, and through numerology you come out with number pairs. He channeled this along with symbols to represent each of the energies. Here we have the vehicle of the Merkaba. the six-pointed star. It's also known as the Star of David, Star of Creation, or if Hindu background, the Shatkonah. Okay. And we use this to overlay the energies, and I'll talk a bit more as we get on. I want to show the commonality across lots of civilizations of this symbol. We have it in the Christianity, we have it in Judaism, we have it in Islam, we have it in Buddhism, we have it in Hinduism, the heart chakra, and here's a more esoteric modern representation of the vehicle. Because the Merkaba is the union of these worldly and the spiritual energies combined. And if anyone knows, we talked today about auras and morphic fields. Well, the Merkaba is an energy that's even further out there beyond. So again, it links very nicely with Matrix, because out there is your recipe, and you are manifesting it by hearing your name. How do we create a chart? We basically get your full birth name, and I stress it because we need the spelling exactly as it is. Frank Alper, being Jewish himself, he was quite a scholar and a visionary, especially in Hebrew. So he was translating these ancient texts and the channeled information he received, called the Numerology of Moses, to fit to English. So in the English-speaking world, this works perfectly. However, it works perfectly too with a bit of phonetics adaptation for any other language. So I just want to mention that. So what we do is we assign the number corresponding to the letter in your name. We lay them out across the chart, we do some calculations, and we get number pairs. Now, the star is made up of two sections. We have the worldly part, it's the downward pointing triangle. And you'll see how we have the karma, or the lessons you needed to, your soul chose to experience, and the talents that you are actually going to help you overcome these. And here are the goals that you're actually ultimately to achieve. We all know that our lives are in cycles of 7 years. That's why Notice 6 is very important, and so on, so on, so on. We have the worldly part. That's all about the foundations of establishing yourself as a human being on the earth. So it's actually the very much earthly things: career, families, relationships, finances. And then I don't like the phrase, but we hit the midlife crisis. It's the 35 to 42 plus or minus another 7 years on either side. What's it all about? We all go through that, asking what's it about, where are we going, why am I here? For some people, that can hit a lot earlier. For others, it can hit later, and for some, very much later. So it's fluid. Okay? So here we have, it's the downward pointing triangle, like I say, of this star. And then it's known as Shakti, which is the divine principle, and water. Water is very cleansing. Water is very, very essential for life. So if you think of it that way, we connect. What are we, 85% water? I don't know what the figure is, but it's something like that. So water is appropriate. So it's very much establishing ourselves as a human being. And then we have the upward pointing triangle, which incidentally is easy to remember because it's pointing upwards, spiritual. And that's where we start to ask the questions, what's it about? Why are we here? Okay, we have also got karma to deal with. And we have talents, and we have goals. More of a spiritual nature. Again, it's in excess of 35, 42 years of age. We awaken to the fact that we are more than just a body here on earth. That there's something else. We have an awakening. And do we have a spiritual mission? When we have the two of these combined, we have the Star of David, the Shatkonah, the multiple names. What we have is a stability in our life. That's the potential. We are on earth, we have lots of different influences. So I'm talking about that path again that was coded in your name. So there's the potential for a happy life, and it's all our birthright, isn't it? And when these are in harmony, that's when you'll get revealed your soul destiny. And that's essentially why you're here, what it's about for you. The actual union of Shakti and Shiva, those two energies, results in the birth of a Satna Kumara, which is basically an enlightened being. So that's what our potential is. That's quite nice. That we can actually aim to be enlightened. Okay, these are the symbols, and we'll look at them more when I do the demo. But just to show you, these are the symbols I've channeled. Interesting, it's like the tree of life, and if anyone knows the Kabbalah, there's the tree of life. This actually sort of parallels with this. Okay, I'm sorry it's a bit small. And this is what a chart would look like. So, starting with the karma, that person would have had this talent to overcome that karma, and there we have the symbol. The symbol is actually, there's its number pair. These always go together, so this would always be a 16, and that would always be a 7. And so forth. And once we've gone through, we as practitioners would read the energies for the person by asking questions, and you will see the demo, and I appreciate our volunteer because it makes it live and we can really get to demonstrate this. And we have the spiritual side as well. They have certain karma to deal with, using certain talents and achieving certain goals, and then their destiny will be described. Okay? Other outputs of the system are body parts, organs that may be potentially associated. And so we can actually, I could ask a question of a person, have you ever had an issue with your left wrist? And when that was mentioned for you, you think of a certain number of the chart and I can tell you it's there. So this is how we have a nice connection. Maybe your foot, the body could manifest issues. If you're not overcoming certain challenges, the body will kick in and manifest a physical response as a reminder to say, hey, wake up, listen, you need to deal with this. An example being sore throats. You need to speak more. You need to get that out. You need to communicate. Ulcers. You're finding it hard to stomach something. Deal with it. They're the lessons we can come at. And that's why I use EFT and Matrix. I bring that in. We can get to the core issue for some people. Limiting beliefs, and also spiritual gifts that people have, whether they're clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, lots of things like this can come out as well. Other types of readings where you can apply to businesses. Yeah, you can apply to your website. Because if you've got the same challenges, energy, in your birth name, as in your foundation of your business name, it's not going to work very well. So that we do that. And we look at people's energies and relate them to the business names. Directors, websites, whatever it be. Okay? Baby naming. We don't say, this is what we should call your baby because I've got a recipe for you, this is the name you need. We would advise people what name you're thinking of using, and they'd say, we're going to assign this name to our baby. Okay, we would analyze it, and out comes certain energies. We can say, all right, that person may be quite shy, so when that child grows up, as it's growing up, make sure it's got plenty of potential opportunities to actually integrate and socialize. And that way they turn the challenge into a positive. So they'll probably find it very hard to keep them at home when they're teenagers. But it works, okay? Name optimization. There might be sometimes people are really genuinely stuck. So by tweaking the middle name and changing by default, you can actually adjust. You're introducing different energies to actually help them catalyze the energies they have and get into where they should be. Okay? And like our Scottish friend, I'm Irish and we talk fast because we've got lots to get through, yes? Here's the benefits of a soul path reading. Confirmation and reassurance whether you're on your life path, you're in the right place, or where we can guide you to get back to your life path. If you're stuck or needing guidance, coaching. We will identify your talents and goals. Maybe people are wondering, I don't really like the job I'm in, and we'll say, well, actually, it's no wonder because this is really your talent, is this type of work, and we can help them. The challenges revealed, and they can be stuff that can be repeating behaviors, and that's where we would intervene to help them move out of that. So, may I ask Nicholas Peter Nash, please, to join me. If you'd like to sit there. You okay?
Yes.
Can you see the chart? You won't see the symbols. Okay, all right. Okay. You don't need to look too nervous. Not too nervous. Okay. So basically, Nicholas has kindly volunteered. So we're going to do what is a mini reading. A full reading would last about an hour, and maybe even an hour and a half if I was to do an overlay name. The overlay name, by the way, is the name you use every day. For instance, for Nicholas Peter Nash, that's his birth name, so that's his actual blueprint, shall we say, for his life. But he's known as Nick Nash, and we would look at the overlay, the commonly used name, and see what influence and what extra energies that's bringing to him. But I'm just going to do, which is more importantly to demonstrate for you, is the full birth name. So starting off, just give me a few minutes, I want to zone into this chart. Okay, I'm going to start by asking you a few questions. When you were younger, were you quite shy? And did you lack maybe some sort of want to engage with others, or did you feel yourself a bit reclusive? Even slightly. I'm not getting that it was very strong, but you may have been indecisive as well.
Indecisive, yeah.
Yeah. And were you feeling that you didn't accept the shadow side of yourself, the side that?
Yes.
But, yeah. And did you ever have a problem with your left foot, knee, or leg?
Not as far as I remember.
Okay, that's fine. You don't have to say yes, that's fine. That is the worldly karma you had, was to actually get to know your other side, a full acceptance of yourself, okay? Right. In its positive, which you have as a talent, which is really nice, your soul chose to put you through that experience because it also gave you the gift of being very charismatic, very magnetic, and very sociable. So were you like that when you were younger?
Younger being, I wouldn't have said no.
I'm talking up to 35, 42, mid-40s, somewhere along
Oh,
there.
I thought you were something like teenager.
In blocks of 7, and this can actually manifest at any point.
I think 20s, 30s.
Yeah. So we can agree that when you were maybe younger in school, you were a little bit shy. Yeah. And being indecisive, and not necessarily the left foot issues. The reason I mentioned the left foot is because if he wasn't over-challenged, he may well have had a sprained ankle, sore foot, left knee, something like that. But because he had as a talent, this challenge is not actually going to be very heavy for him. See, you had the same energy. If it was bigger, you'd see. They're actually the same. This energy he's got is the 7-7. It's the energies of Solomon. It's judge and jury. This is a person who can see both sides. So when there's a challenge, they're not seeing both sides, and all they do is stuck. Right? They're not weighing it up anymore. And the other thing is, it's a force that unites. There's two entities within him. It's his experience and himself, and he needs to resolve and make a connection with that. Okay. As a consequence, Nicholas would have been somebody who worked well with groups and probably leads people in through work or facilitating.
Yeah, self-employed for 35 years, so I don't know whether that's...
So you project managing would come into this because you actually unite, put things together.
I was pretty much on my own in the self-employment.
Okay, all right. When, with regards to your goals, the need for you to overcome the shadow side was obvious because with this one, the goal was for you to start speaking more for yourself. So that means something to you? Yeah, okay. And by the way, as we're doing a demonstration, you don't need to tell me everything, but if it's just a yes or no, that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's great, thank you. And the other thing is you became more and more grounded as you moved through your teenage years and your 20s. Possibly becoming a bit more a fan of being out in the great outdoors, liking the world. We're talking about a spectrum here, and using your voice definitely more. You were learning to speak up more, I think. Okay. We call it the chameleon energy because if you actually were to go into a room where there was a group of people you hadn't been before, the goal for you was to actually connect with that energy, which would give you the ability to feel very much at ease within yourself. And like, I don't know these people, but I feel these are nice, I'm going to talk to them. And you knew where to go, and you could pick up the vibe. Yeah, so that's the goal that was actually. So this is laying the foundations for you as being like the human being that we see today, but then we move into a spiritual phase. The spiritual phase would have kicked in your 30s. I mean, there would have been a time when you started to ask, what's it all about? Why am I here? It was can you think of not a year, but a sort of a rough time in your life when you started questioning?
I was questioning the conflict with me, that what was going on with me, and that's why I was probably seeking help then to try and resolve it.
Yeah, and that would be the sevens. There's the two paths that need uniting within yourself. Yeah, okay. Okay, well then we move into the spiritual phase, and what we've got is the 10-1 energy here of unity and a good balance of yin-yang. Okay, it's also representative of the male-female genitalia. It's all about having a balance within yourself for the male hard energy and the female soft energy. It's also about feeling protected. But as it is in a challenge or a karma position, what he has here is, I want to ask you, was there, this doesn't necessarily have to come as a yes, but this is a possibility. Was there a male presence in your life, throughout your life, that's been causing some sort of negativity and an issue for you? Because with this, you may have felt you don't have to actually, it's like all of these energies is a spectrum, and your experience will sit somewhere between A to Z. So although I ask a question, it doesn't necessarily mean you say, oh yes, definitely. And often is the case, it's been a mini reading, something will come up after we say, oh actually now that does fit, I realise what you're talking about there. Do you have to work hard to try and establish a connection with your spiritual side, or are you finding it's something you're developing?
It's developing.
Yes, because it's here that one of them is a denial of a spiritual side to you. So your soul chose, and when we say soul, it's not a religious system. I could also talk about your prana or your chi. It's your life force energy, isn't it? These are the energies of prana and chi that goes right through you, your whole presence. And what it is actually asking you to not to be so self-critical. And do you feel you're a perfectionist at times?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what this is saying. Okay. Moving on. However, which is really good for you to overcome that challenge and work through that and establish a better connection for you, is you have the energies of 15-6, which is you're a very creative person. You've got lots of ideas, don't you? Lots of things going through your mind, but creative things. And to create is to put in place what didn't exist before. And that can be quite wide. But for you, in business, you can actually see ways of doing things. And not only that, you've got what we have, the 15 energy is about you trusting your gut instinct. It's the circle within the circle being one of the most ancient symbols of divine source, light, energy, whatever you want to call it. Turn this negative karmic experience into a positive and do establish a connection. You will actually feel a lot more protected. That's why you'll be going more with your gut instinct. The goals that were chosen for you in the spiritual aspect currently now is for you to be of service. Okay? So you're here to be of service to people because you actually can suffer and withstand hardship. Okay, so whatever hardship you actually bounce back. You've got a trinity of energies of endurance, intellect, and durability within you. And not only that, but you're actually quite emotionally robust. This is the goal that has been pushed for you. As you connect more with your inner self and you learn and establish that sort of spiritual side of you, these energies become more and more. So you trust more your gut instinct. You don't have any issues with just digestion or stomach?
No, not no.
No, but you have had?
No, I've had more heart issues.
More heart issues, okay. But because the gut instinct is a positive for you here, so I wouldn't have expected that, yeah. Like I said, well able to withstand hardships, and you kind of do you find that sometimes you do things the hard way because you feel that it just feels like you do it the hard way?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, that's what this energy would be, but that's why you're able to withstand the hardships, because you might do it big and possibly the hard way. Rather than carrying the pebbles, you'll just get the whole lot together and carry the whole lot, and because it's done, rather than doing one by one at a time, that kind of thing. But you can you can withstand the suffering of the hardships, so that's why it's okay for you to do that. Now, your soul destiny. Why is he here? What's it all about for Nick? Well, basically, you've got this energy here, which is, for those who can't see, imagine concentric, slightly off-centered concentric rings, like ripples in a pond. Or you're looking down a tunnel and you see the rings of the tunnel. It's someone who's got an ability to look deep and be reflective, so they can ponder and muse over your life. Is that you? And it's actually looking deep into the soul. And they've got the 5 energy, which is actually the energies of abstraction. It's about life and all that's in it. It looks like a profile of a swan about to spread the wings and take off. It's also known as the fetus. The fetus being growth and everything that from life springing from there. So for Nicholas, is somebody who's actually here. He's got great spiritual gifts. That's what the 5s are. He's got a great ability to be very, very reflective. It's not surprising he's at an EFT supervision day at Matrix on account of, if that's, that's how I've met you, because that fits nicely. You're reflective. You've got spiritual gifts, which would be not necessarily clairaudient or clairvoyant or anything, but you've got the spiritual energy about you. So the destiny for you was to be somebody who's reflective and can be quite intense in relationships, it says. Would that be true?
There's a possibility.
And through relationships, you've learned a lot about yourself. Yeah, and that's what the destiny for you is. That knowledge will actually be very, very powerful for you. So to recap before we finish, your challenge was to start to learn really about your other side, yourself. Actually, to engage with that spiritual side, and to feel there was a slight disconnection from that energy, but to work with it and then as you did, you got more connected and spiritually connected, trusting your gut instinct more, feeling a lot more creative and very, very safe in your decisions. And then ultimately we're able to withstand hardships because you've gone through cycles of, you may have gone through cycles of relationships, but you've learned a lot about yourself. Okay? And that is just a very quick demonstration of mini reading coming from Nicholas's full birth name. So thank you very much, Nicholas. Any questions? I have a question,
please.
Yes.
I have never felt comfortable with my name. It's on several occasions I thought, this isn't me. This really isn't me, but I can never come up with another name that I would like to have changed my name to. If my birth name, therefore, is who I am, how does that work?
That's a good question. You may not have really. There's a possibility. There may well have been a mistake in the actual spelling at that very point of your name. It can come down to that.
Right.
Okay. If, on the other hand, there was absolutely no room for error in the spelling, okay, I'm talking about maybe the surname was spelt wrong or something, an E where there shouldn't have been, it makes a difference. However, you can have name optimization, because what would do is help you to get into the karma that you have been presented with and introduce different energies to help you work through that. Okay, it would soften the experience, and that would be like you can change the whole name or just the middle name that it's what you recorded as.
Middle name.
It's
No,
the
you
middle.
just said that. It's the middle name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Thank you. It's a good question. Yes, I have one at the very back.
Hi. All my life, people have shortened my name, and I really hate it when people do that. And they just do it without asking.
Yeah.
I've never really told anybody, but recently I've been starting to tell people.
What's your full name?
Jemima.
Jemima.
Everyone calls me Jem.
Yeah. Because to shorten names is disempowering you. Okay, we all know nicknames, if they're intended in a negative connotation, well, hey, that's not good. But people, that's a nickname, Jem. They shortened it. They're disempowering you. You're not being allowed to have your energies that are your birthright to be manifest in your life, therefore allowing you to fully express and come into your own being. What it's all about is actually ascension and consciousness, and that's been stopped, and that's why on that level, on an earthly human level, you don't like this. But now I hope you know why. And it's very important people get to know that you don't like Jem, it's not Jem. Jemima.
Have you ever come across the situation that I had? The first 6 months of my life I was called Sandra. And then someone else in the family call their daughter that. So my mother said no and put Carol in front of it. The birth certificate, because we lived on a farm, had never been actually finalised, so then I became Carol Sandra. Would I need
Okay.
2 readings for that, or
You
what
would.
could that mean?
But I'll tell you, the first name that you're known by and have been recorded as, so you were like efficient for 6 months, that
6
name was
months.
around, those energies were around you,
Yes.
and that was the intention, because at that point, when people have a newborn baby, everyone says they've had a baby. It's a baby. Because the name's not been presented yet. Although it would be channeled by the parents, it's coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
And until it's registered. So your reading, the energies for you, Carol, would be the name that you were first given. And in fact, you probably find that the name you use now has a very, very synchronistic, very, very good compatibility for you as well.
What that
So
second name?
the second name, yes,
Angela,
yes.
okay.
And there was someone else at the back,
Thanks.
it's just here, this lady here, sorry.
Yeah, what effect then does it have if you were named twice and the first name was a medical given and the second was the family?
It'd be the first name that you recorded. I can give you an example that's parallels, I think, what you're asking. I had somebody who had been adopted, and she wanted a reading, but she wasn't. In no way was I to do the original birth name. And I said, I explained to her that I have to because we know it, and it's been recorded, and that because it's the first name she was ever known by. And when I did the reading, it was totally her life. Then we did the overlay name of the name that she wanted me to do, and then she could see parts of it agreed, but the full birth name, the original first name, was the one. Yeah. Doesn't mean you have to
Even if
use
it's
it.
not assigned by the family, even if there's not the love energy behind that. Name.
No, because the principle is that it's when we ask people where did you get your name, most people say, oh, it was my mum's, my auntie's, my dad's, whatever. And the question really was to say, think about it. How do names arise in our head? The thoughts, they come from somewhere else. They're actually channeled. That's the explanation. It pops into someone's head from another source. So that's what would have happened for the example you're just giving. So we would work with that one first. Amy?
Can I just ask one? What's going on when people won't use your name? Like they'll call you dear or love, or but they won't actually use your first name.
I think that's okay. That's a term of endearment. They're working from here. That's good. If so long as there's a positive intention behind it. But if it's if they start calling you, if that's all they ever call you, then that's a bit too familiar. And I think we need to I think you need to tell them. Is that?
I don't know. I think there's something else going on myself. And people won't-
Who's doing it?
won't
Like
use your name.
parents
That's
or?
my sister. Doesn't ever call me Henry.
Okay.
She'll just use. No, she's younger. She'll just use
Petal.
any other name. Yeah, just a kind of generic sort of
Okay.
affectionate name. I don't know.
That's where we can apply to relationships. Not only can we do it for business and people who work for or with our directors and web names, we would look at siblings, family constellations, partnerships, because that might be something. There may be energies that she's feeling are not very good, her relationship with you. I'm not saying you don't have a good relationship with her, but okay. All right. That might be a reason, because those energies are doing this rather than just...
Yeah.
So, one last question, yeah.
Okay, one more. The lady at the very back was just waiting. So.
I have a
I
Dutch
was just
question.
wondering what effect it has when somebody's known by many, many different names. I mean, I'm known by sort of 5 or more different names.
They're all introducing different energies into your life experience, and they would have a purpose. But to decode your actual life path that was destined for you to follow in this incarnation, like I say, we would go back to your birth name. But quickly, when you bake a cake, Victoria sponge, eggs, sugar, butter, whatever else, and it's baked, you take it out of the oven, let it cool down. Oh, I'd like to take one of those eggs out. Can you? No. It's too late. I'd like to put more butter in. No. But that's our birth names. However, we can all decorate it differently. And they go, actually, I made a mistake. I don't like that icing. Scrape it off. That's an overlay name. So then, see? And the experience of the person eating that cake, depending on how it was decorated or not, will vary according to what was put on it. That's your overlay name. It can be removed. That's why you can change your names, married names. Often women will report back to me when they've been divorced and say, now I feel like myself again. And maybe one more, because this lady has been waiting. So,
In the Netherlands, we have this names that goes from father to father to son to son to son. They all have the same name, like Jan Jansen, Jan Jansen, Jan Jansen, Jan Jansen. They all have the same talents, the same goals, or the same.
they have the same, but would the middle name be the same? Exactly, well, it wouldn't be exactly the same name,
Yeah,
would it?
they are really copied of the first. Like the father
Absolutely.
was named Jan Jansen, and then his son is Jan Piet Jansen Junior, and then because the third is Jan Piet Jansen.
What can happen there is the potential is exactly the same, all right, because it's a recipe, but the life experience, because they will not step into the shoes of that forefather, will they? The experience will not necessarily be the same. They will mix with different people. They live in a different time. They may move out of their culture. So there will be, but it's actually not a good idea because you're making a very rigid potential expression for that person.
A lot of those lines there.
Okay. Thank you very much.